Very somber day in the radio industry in Australia today as we heard about the sad news of James Valentine passing away. James was an institution in Australian culture, but most particularly at the ABC. And Ben Latimer, the director of audio at the ABC, has joined us now. Hey, Ben.
Hi, Wade. Yeah, look, I think it's a sad day at the ABC today, and I think a sad day across radio in general. We're remembering James as being, this one of a kind broadcaster, but we often talk about, what was he like off the air? I think with James, he was on air very kind, very curious, very generous, and off the air, that warmth was very much the case. And I think we're sort of remembering him as that great broadcaster today, but just a very kind, warm man. And sort of hearing the callers on the air today and just sort of soaking up that outpouring has been very moving, and we're all very moved today by this.
Yeah, he left the ABC in February, I think, to concentrate on his treatment. And obviously, I think most of his inner circle sadly knew how the story would end. But do you feel like you've sort of grieved his retirement and then now grieving his passing? Have you had sort of two times we've had to wrap the arms around the staff on this?
Yeah, I think it's been a journey. I think one of the things because I sort of got to work with, there's people here today that have been on this ABC journey with James from the very beginning, and it's been about 25 years of hosting afternoons on 702, and I found out not that long ago, Wade, that here's a fact for you that you'll enjoy. So James's first appearance on the ABC was in 1982. He told me on Countdown.
On Countdown, wow.
On Countdown, and also he told me his mum used to work at the ABC back in the day. So James was actually around ABC radio studios from a really young age. So I think there's people that have been with him on all of that journey. There's people like me that have sort of caught the very end of it. But what I loved about James just over the past couple of years through his illness, he's really approached all of this with such enormous dignity. He opened it up to his audience. He shared everything with his audience, and I think there was a lot of respect from him. From his audience and from all of us around the way he handled that. And I think it's been really tough. I think to answer your question, there's been a lot of grieving, but today's particularly hard. What I'm reminded of today is that he's a broadcaster that didn't only just touch people here at the ABC, but he mentored people and he taught people that really great radio craft right across Australian radio and Australian media. And I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I think he's also a great lesson for broadcasters because he was probably the solo host I think of that had the audience as a co-host. I mean, and there are many people who do solo shows on the ABC and other places around the world, but his co-host was the audience. They were in with him no matter what the show content was. I heard a great story Richard Glover was telling this morning with Hamish McDonald on 702 Mornings, talking about how even if James came in to the studio and he had nothing, nothing prepared, nothing to talk about, that's what he talked about. He said, I have nothing. And then all of a sudden you'd get an academic calling in and talking about the science of what it means to do nothing. And so I think even just from a companionship point of view, which is one of those things we know is such a great strength of radio, he was one of those people that would open up his whole life to his audience, and his audience responded really well. I think that's a great lesson.
I think you're right. It's a real rarity, isn't it, for someone to... I mean, I was just talking to Dom Knight, who's one of our presenters, and he said that it was really lovely, Wade. He said, because they all looked up to James, and we all did, and he said, once I took a leaf out of James's book and I did an evening's program with a blank rundown. And Dom said to me, it was terrifying. But you know what? The audience called and the audience came. And I think with James, a lot of people today saying that he was a guy that he just found joy and beauty in everyday life and made you feel better about your day. And I really think that he pioneered, as you just described it, pioneered this type of talkback radio where you really allowed the audience to be in the driver's seat with you. And I think you and I, and everyone listening are, with radio running through our blood, but there was nothing like it And I think a lot of people today are remembering him and have learned from him and have probably copied him and mirrored what he does along the way. And I can tell you this, he's left such a lasting impression at the ABC and will be remembered for such a long time. But also very bittersweet hearing all of these beautiful memories about him today as well.
Absolutely. Well, I've been listening to a bit of 702 today, and I think the way you've opened up the lines and the presenters have to let everyone share their own memories is such an important part of the process. So well done on that. Maybe you could encourage other presenters to have no rundown day. Perhaps they start their shows with no rundown for a day in honour of James and see where that creativity leads them.
It's terrifying, but yeah, sure.
I was very touched to hear this Samantha Mostyn, the Governor General of Australia, come on this morning, and she talked about a special honour that was bestowed to James just before he passed. Do you want to share that news with us?
Yeah, so it was really beautiful, actually. The Governor General paid tribute to James this morning on air. She was a friend, and she sort of remarked that James was this guy who he had lots of ideas, but one he was particularly passionate about was making everyone just a bit kinder. And I think he really felt that with his afternoon show. It was always a really lovely escape from the heaviness of the news and of everyday life. And they were able to award James a Member of the Order of Australia, which is what we see as AM after your name. And that was done at a ceremony last weekend, I believe, with his family. And the Governor General shared this quote this morning with the 702 audience, and they remembered him as a pioneer broadcaster, a gifted musician, and passionate advocate for the arts. His lifetime of achievement has enriched the public conversation and championed Australian creativity. So what an honour to have bestowed upon you, and that was given to him last weekend, and he was surrounded by family and friends. So what a beautiful recognition of James.
Absolutely. Well, Vale, James, and Ben, thanks for jumping on, and please give all our love and support to everyone in the ABC. Obviously, when you lose a member of the family like that, the ABC family, over a long period of time, it does touch everyone in the organisation. So our best wishes to you all today.
Really great to chat to you, Wade. Thank you.